Hello, people of YouTube. It's me, Hallie Music. I am going to do my surgery video today. Sorry for the delay in that. I did it once before and then accidentally deleted it, and then yada yada yada, technical difficulties, yada yada. So here we are. So I'm going to be talking about surgery, and I'm going to keep it kind of short. If you guys have extra questions, feel free to ask. So day of surgery, we leave, we drive up there, we get to Spokane, check into the hospital, and then it was kind of a waiting game, right? So we check in, I get hooked up to an IV, I have to pee in a cup, I meet all my nurses, and before you can go back for surgery, you have to see 4 different people. You have to see your surgical nurse, your first surgical nurse. You have to see your anesthesiologist, and you have to see your anesthetician. And those are the people who are in surgery. Oh, and you have to see your surgeon. Right. And those are the people who are in surgery with you, who make sure you're taken care of, everything's looking good, your vitals are healthy, everything's good. And so basically that's what I was waiting for. So I was interacting with nurses, I had my IV in, I peed in a cup, and then I was just waiting to see all those people. And my first surgical nurse, she was great. I don't remember her name. But my anesthetician, he was amazing. He came in clutch, I'll say that. He came in amazingly for me after surgery, and I'll get to that. But he came and introduced himself to me and basically told me that he was my bartender, that his job was to make me happy, and keep me from throwing up. Which I thought was hilarious. So, and then the anesthetician came back, and he was nice and introduced himself and all that. And then when Dr. Horn came in to introduce, he signed my arm, which I always think is funny, but they always want to make sure they're operating on the right one. So he signed my arm, and first surgery nurse started hooking me up with some extra stuff, and then they wheeled me back, and they were all very nice. I think all the nurses, all of the surgeons, everyone I've ever interacted with at Northwest Orthopedic is just amazing. So if you need to be getting surgery, I highly recommend them. I think they're all great. But so it wheeled me back, and then, of course, something funny always has to happen before you go under, right? It's just the rules of surgery. So they wheeled me in, they had everything going. I was in the right spot, everything's good. And then the anesthetician he was like, all right, we're going to get you going. And so they did 3 different modes of anesthesia for me. They had one through the IV, so the IV line. And they had a central, which is the one that goes over your mouth and then down your throat, which is really itchy. My throat itched and was scratchy for 4 or 5 days after surgery. And then they also did a nerve block. So they did a supraclavicular, so clavicle is your what's the non-anatomical term for it? Collarbone. There we go. So clavicle is your collarbone, supra above. So they did an above supraclavicular nerve block. So right about probably just below my freckle there. And I'll post a picture of it also. So they did that. So they did all 3 until he was getting ready to do the central line. They already had the IV one in. I don't know if they'd started it yet, and he was getting ready to do my central line, or the air one. And he said he was getting his bartending duties going, right? He was getting everything set up for his bartending. And I was like, oh, that's funny, because my aunt, this is my funny story, whenever my family all gets together, my aunt calls whoever's making drinks the cabana boy. And he laughed, and he was like, yep, I'm your cabana boy. I just didn't bring my matching outfit. And everybody in the whole room laughed, and that was the last thing that I remembered before going under for surgery. So I thought that was funny. And then I woke up, and I actually woke up when I was still in the surgery room. They were wheeling me out, so everything was done, obviously. But my previous surgeries, I had been in the recovery zone for a while before I woke up. So the fact that I woke up then was odd to me, and I assume they did it on purpose. The doctors know what they're doing, but I just found it a little odd. But so they were wheeling me out from the surgery room, and I was thanking everyone. That's what there we go. I was saying thank you to everyone there, and asked something about pictures, and I don't know, I was being loopy because drugs. And then I got to the recovery area 1, and I was in pain. I was in a significant amount of pain. The lowest it was at that point was like a 6 on the pain scale, and it rapidly increased to a 9 on the pain scale. And they were doing everything. They tried multiple different methods of pain management, and by the end of it, I think we were at 8, but we were at 2, and this lady walked over, and she was like, you think you're good to go ahead and go over to recovery area 2 and get dressed? No. And then they tried a few IV through the IV, and they did a few of like pills to swallow to help with pain. And then we were at about the 4th pain management type when Dr. Horn came over, and he told me that the surgery was wonderful. Everything went great. He was very confident with the surgery, very confident that recovery would be good. The surgery was great. Very good surgery. So that was good. A plus. And he asked me, he looked at me, he goes, okay, so if the pain doesn't get any better than this, if we send you home like this, would that be okay? And I looked at him and said, no. 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 I was in a significant amount of pain. And so he asked to get the anesthesiologist over, and if he was good with it, to do a second nerve block. So the surgeon told us, Dr. Horn told us, from check-in to check-out, it'd be about 3 to 4 hours. So plan for 4 hours. Well, with the nerve block and with me being in excess pain and then just having one hand doing all this stuff afterwards, it was about 6. So longer than expected, but not longer in terms of surgery, just longer because of managing pain afterwards. So Dr. Horn left. They tried paging anesthesiologist. He was dealing with the patients, yada yada, no big deal. And then, so they tried a few different pain management techniques, including IV and swallowing pills. And so the IV, the way it worked is they would administer it, and the pain would drop to like a 7, or maybe a 6, and I'd be okay. And then it would just shoot right back up, where I was having to breathe through it. I was crying. It was awful. And so it was in waves. And then the anesthesiologist, who I believe again is Dr. James, I'll find his name again. He was wonderful, but he came over and was asking me questions. He was like, "Yes, let's do it. Let's do another nerve block. Let's go for it," which was really cool to me because he brought over the ultrasound machine and was showing me how everything was, and there was a huge needle he stuck in there, and they went all the way around the nerve bundles there. I don't know how many cc's he did, but they went multiple spots and did at least 3 in each one, and so it was a lot. And my hand was numb. I couldn't. Okay, so he did the nerve block and then pulled the needle out, and by the time he pulled the needle out, it was down to like a 5 on the pain scale. And then he went to put something down, and I was like a 2 on the pain scale. And he walked away and came back like 2 minutes later, and I was at 0. Like, it was like fairly automatic that I was out of pain, which was lovely because it was hurting. So then once we got the pain under control, we could kind of move on with recovery. So then we moved over to recovery area 2, where I got my snack, crackers and apple juice. All the places I've had surgery, they make you eat a snack before you go to make sure that you're not going to get sick from the anesthesia. So, ate my snack, got dressed. Nurses were laughing. No, I was laughing with the nurses. They weren't laughing at me. We were having a good time. And then they wheeled me out to my mom's car, or to my car my mom was waiting for me in, and drove home. So, nothing crazy. With it being COVID, no one was allowed in the hospital. My mom had to wait in the car, which I felt bad, but it is what it is. And while it kind of sucked being alone in the hospital, but I waited for maybe 2 hours. I checked in at 9. I think surgery was at 11. But at 10:30, probably till 9:30, I was interacting with nurses, answering questions, peeing in a cup. And then at 10:30, the first surgery nurse was over. I was talking to everybody. I was going to take the set. So it was probably only an hour that I was sitting there not doing something. And so but there were still nurses around, and so it wasn't bad. It was just kind of lonely. Made it a little bit more scary to not have someone there, but it wasn't bad at all. So then we came home, made it home, and I put myself in my pillow fort. Post a picture of that. And slept. Yeah. So they gave me pain meds at the hospital before we left, and then I had my dad go pick my prescriptions up, and so they put me on Norco, which is a hydrocodone mixed with acetaminophen, and I was on 10 milligrams of 10 milligrams of the hydrocodone, 325 of the acetaminophen, which is a typical ratio. And it's one you just have to be careful of. You take every 4 to 6 hours. And so I came home from surgery. We started with 2, I believe. So that's Friday. 2 every 4 hours. And then I think Saturday night we moved to 1 every 4 hours. And then by Tuesday or Wednesday we got to 1 every 6 or 7 hours. Oh, yeah. And then, I forgot. So then I was feeling pretty good. Friday night, so a week after surgery, I decided that I wanted to sleep in my bed, which was fine, but it wasn't fine. I woke up the next day in a lot of pain, a significant more pain than I was in that previous week. So I went back to every 4 hours of pain meds. So just, I guess just be aware of what hurts and what doesn't. The couch is my friend. It was good for me to stay on the couch for as long as possible. I'm a month out now making these videos because life's just been hard, and I've managed to sleep in my bed for a few hours and be okay, but mostly I'm still on the couch. It's just I can prop up my arm better. It's more comfortable. So don't try to rush it. If you start in your bed and you are fine and everything's wonderful, then good, but don't try to rush it. You're healing. It takes what it takes time that it takes. So then, so that next Monday I had my post-op. So the first week after surgery was mostly lots of pain meds, lots of naps, lots of being on the couch. I was feeling pretty well. I went to class over Zoom, but I went to class that first week, my grad school classes. I didn't participate that much, but I was able to go. I was able to sit up. I was able to say hello, introduce myself. But then as soon as that was over, I took a nap. One action was an equal and opposite nap. But I wasn't as groggy. I wasn't as dead is going to be the word I use. I expected to afterwards the drugs to just be conked out the whole time, and I wasn't. Now, again, everything required a nap afterwards, but it wasn't as debilitating as I expected it to be. Able to use that term. So, yeah. So surgery went well. Everything's good with that. The day of surgery was good. We saw a moose on the way up, which was really cool. I didn't get a picture because we were driving too fast, but that's okay. And then the week after surgery went well. Again, lots of naps. And then I will post another video soon about my post-op day. And then I had a bit of an accident after, so I'll post a crazy story video, I guess, and then I'll do a month out video. So that's what's upcoming. Again, please follow my Instagram if you want to see more smaller updates. But have a great day.